of interest disclosure, if any? There being none. Adoption of the minutes of the October 4th, 2022 meeting, moved by
Mike Chamberlain.
Mike Chamberlain, second by Judy Wilson-Shee. Anything on the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Committee reports, Finance Committee Director Morrison. I'm not sure he's here. He was having technical difficulties as well. He's not here. Greg Erickson, could you give the report, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So the Finance Committee met on October 20th. The meeting was called to order of the chair at 5:01 p.m. Meeting began with the third quarter review of the post-closure fund, which was essentially a replay of last quarter. Our investments were in compliance with the allocation target specified in the investment policy statement. Quarter showed continued volatility as all markets have been down over 25% for the last 9 or 10 months. Mr. Spare stated that until inflation is under control, volatility is likely to continue. Mr. Spare still recommends keeping the same allocations for the moment, as it is a long-term investment. After discussion, it was the committee's position to wait until the new year to review the investment policy statement once the new directors and governance structures are in place. Mrs. Langton then reviewed the third quarter financial results for the commission, which are attached to this report. She stated that all divisions, with the exception of planning and development, were outperforming the budget, although she is hopeful for a small surplus in that division by year end. Tonnage was about 2,700 tons above the 5-year average of the landfill. Recycling had better than anticipated results year to date due to higher than expected revenues from cardboard. However, this is starting to show a decline. The power generation facility, power generated facility generated more revenue than expected, with expenses trending over budget due to repairs and maintenance on the engines. The loss of power generation is being driven by the second previous year's deficit coming in from 2020. Overall, Mrs. Langton advised the committee that the commission's financial results are strong, especially given inflation and increased costs. Ms. Langton then presented a staff report regarding reserve fund transfers, which is attached to this report as well. She's recommending one transfer this year, which is a transfer between operating funds due to the requirement to have a balanced budget for 2022. And there being no further business at that time, the meeting was adjourned at 5:36 p.m. So the motion I'd like to put before you, Mr. Chair, is that I move the board receive the report of the Finance Committee dated November 1st, 2022. Furthermore, was the second motion in this to be voted on separately, Mr. Chair?
Yes, let's do the first motion first. Please.
I'll second the first motion.
Moved by Greg Erickson, seconded by
Ian.
Sorry, Ian. Thank you. Anything on the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, your second motion, please, Eric or Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Be it resolved that the Regional Service Commission 11 transfer a total of $411,277 from the Solid Waste Operating Fund to the Power Generation Operating Fund in accordance with the 2022 budget. That's a move.
Second.
Seconded by Stephen Sharp. Anything on the question?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Update on local government reform, Brett and Maurice, please.
Maurice, you're on mute.
That's what happens when you turn the mute button on. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just update on a few items. Budgets are into the minister, including obviously the one for the capital region. Expecting responses by next week, and obviously not possible to speculate on what the outcome will be, but I think we're expecting responses by end of next week, the week of the 7th. On tourism promotion, we're working with the city of Fredericton on an agreement. We haven't arrived at a draft agreement yet, but we expect one within the course of the next week. On economic development, we are in the process of finalizing the draft. It should be finalized tomorrow. We have had a meeting with the MOU working committee last week. and laid out what we expect to be able to present to them in that draft. We will circulate the draft once it's finalized tomorrow, and we have a meeting with the MOU committee on Friday to review their comments and their input. From then, we will incorporate feedback and then circulate it to the board members for their input and comments and feedback on that draft agreement with Ignite. I guess that's it for me. Brett, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to mention.
No, I think you covered it well, Maurice.
Are there any questions at this point? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next agenda item, which is the closed session. Can I have a motion to go into closed session, please?
So moved, Judy.
Seconded, Ian.
Moved by Judy, second by Ian. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?